Greetings. So here's the question. Is there any real advantage in the West to being a man these days? I'm not even kidding when I say that. Because I noticed that women have it pretty goddamn good, whether it's, America, Canada, Australia, or European Western countries, hell, even Japan. I think women, in general, in Western-style countries, have it far fucking better than men. Anyhow, this is OTR Ogre and Corgi. Like, link, and subscribe. Comment if you so choose. Let's get into it. And yes, this is definitely going to be a MGTOW moment. When I see a lot of ladies out there and they talk about, oh, it's so hard as a woman. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? As a guy, what we have to do when we get out, there isn't somebody magically taking care of us. Like a lady can just, be 18, find a boyfriend or find a guy and shack up with him. She could just take birth control and not have kids. Back in the day, shacking up might have had, children, and that's kind of like a consequence. So women were a lot more choosy back then. But you could literally just get your rent paid. As a guy, that doesn't happen. I know this is a wild concept. Unless you're like living with your parents or you got a friend that you can do dirt cheap rent with, there's no real advantage. You get out onto the ground as a guy, you have to go out and find a real job. Because if you don't have a real job, you probably can't get ahead in life. Like whether it's trades or going to a really good, like getting a good college degree, not the type of flop crap you see a lot of these jokers getting these days. Women can literally get worthless degrees and do worthless jobs and be perfectly well taken care of. Do you think that might be an advantage? And you get it. Look, that's because men want to have sex with us. Okay, here's a wild thought, ladies. Stop trading sex for resources. And you can have all the equality that men have. Oh, well, that means I'll have to do the work. And that's the fucking Achilles heel there, isn't it? Because most women, frankly, just don't want to do the work. Now, as a guy, you have to do the work, unless you were born into a better situation, and most guys aren't. But as a poor woman, what's that old song, Fancy? Fancy, don't let me down. What's that? What's the real message of that song? So some poor white trash that was attractive got a fancy dress, and basically she worked in a place in a tea house or whatever, and basically a rich man saw her and said, "Hey, why don't you be my wife?" Do you think that happens for guys? Like, as a lady, all you have to do is be thin, attractive. You don't even have to really be 10. You could be a 5 that knows how to doll herself up, and you'll be up to a 6 and a 7. You could even be a 4 and hit 6. But most guys, if you're thin and not a nag, you don't bring problems. I mean, you'll even see some of these simps out there. They will put up with the most nagging bullshit you have ever seen just to keep honey happy. And you know what happens? Women get taken care of regardless how bad it is. But if you were just thin, attractive, didn't nag, and didn't fuck around on the guy, you can literally be taken care of for your whole life. Hey, let me tell you another one. As a woman, you can quite literally just have a kid and get a free apartment. Yeah, it's called Section 8 and welfare. Most guys cannot do that. Like, occasionally you'll see a guy that can fake crazy. In some states, you can fake crazy and get a little bit of money, but it's not like what you see Section 8. You might get $1,000 a month, like $800 to $1,000. It's like $800 with benefits. I knew a guy that did this, and he had to go and say, "I had the hut. I can't handle working. Childhood issues, all that crap." So he could get like next to nothing. So living at destitute levels of poverty, basically, and if you know how to work, you get a trailer, put it next to your relative's house. So you live. It's all relative. You're living okay. You feel okay. But, that's, you're talking a guy that doesn't even get $12,000 a year. That's welfare for guys. Women, you just poop out a baby, and maybe you get a few of them. You can be getting $35,000 to $70,000. When you figure no taxes taken out, health benefits, food, heating, all that shit. Basically, multiple guys, they're paying child support. Mind you, they have to pay taxes before they pay their child support. Personally, I think if they're going to give women tax-free child support, then guys should be able to say they should be able to take the money out of child support before they get taxed. Because, well, wait a minute, what about all the people that have to pay taxes and they feed their... Okay, I get it. But still, it's really criminal. She gets all this money, the government takes their chunk, and basically she gets to live for free. So whether you choose as a woman to be the rich version, where you had your mind together, had your game together, and you married a guy that had it, and even if the marriage falls apart, You get to walk away with half his fucking assets or more. You get a house, car, clothes, all this, and baby payments every month, plus maybe even alimony. Or if you're the lower end version, you can literally just crap out a kid and be taken care of. These options, for the most part, do not exist for guys. And what versions we have of it are such shit that it is better to be a working slave than someone that's completely dependent. So when they talk about privilege as a guy, you can work a job and you're going to get paid more. Guys work more. You work a job. You think most of these guys, for all these years, and this is the lesson women really need to learn. When we started realizing it's not worth our time to deal with you, our lives got better. Because it's like you see these guys in Japan that are going to herbivore, and they're like, you know what? I just don't want to deal with it. I watched my dad work himself to an early grave, work, 60 to 80 hours a week. Like 60 was a good, easy week. 80 something was, and some of these guys just dropped dead at work. Not like they died of like heart disease or anything, like their heart just stops. It's so fucked up. And the more guys that see their dads get creamed in divorce, uncles in divorce, brothers in divorce, the more the younger guys are like, nah, fuck that. And not to mention, if you're a good-looking guy, let's say you're even the van dude at the gym. If you're a good-looking guy, women still want to smash. That's the sad part. A lot of these housewives that are rich, they will smash behind closed doors. Like, there's no advantage to being what men used to have to be. Like, I'm proof positive. I own this place. I paid this place off years ago. I paid it off in record time. Now I can pay off a house every fucking year because I don't have to deal with a wife or kids or any of that shit. The only reason I have these advantages, and by the way, women could do exactly what I do. They just choose not to. The only reason I have these advantages is because I'm not towing a woman. So who's the privileged class there? The expectation is, as a guy, you will work, provide, you will do, you will accomplish. As a woman, all you have to do is like literally just pump out some kids. That's the base minimum. And if you want to do all the things guys do, you have that option. Man, that's a noisy trailer. Anyways, here's the point. You can try to convince me that men have some advantage in the West, but prove it to me. Statistically prove it to me. Anyhow, this is OTR Ogre and Corgi. Like, link, subscribe, and yes, that is a Game Boy Advance. I was really stoked to find that. It still works. Anyhow, take it easy.